Well, welcome back. We have more changes to the schedule, kind of. So the next session is quality in Omnichannel, the key considerations when delivering traffic. Oh no, wait a minute, that's not that one. Apologies. It's through the looking glass. What does it take to create an ideal experience today, and what will it take to shape the future of business messaging? Now, this is an InfoBip session, and sadly, Vice and Natalia couldn't travel here today for reasons I'm sure you can guess. So we've got a pre-recorded video of their conversation, which we're going to show you now. And then we also have another pre-recorded conversation between James Williams and Mark Galvin. And that we're going to show at the coffee break later on today. So I'm hoping the guys in the back there are ready and we can cue up the video. Yes, we can, with Natalia and Vice. Thank you.
Hello, James Williams, Director of Programs with MEF, and it's a real pleasure to be joined today by Vice Ivandic. Vice, I apologise if I've got your name wrong, but the Professional Service Manager with InfoBip over in Croatia, and Natalia Ferreira, who is Product Marketing Manager with InfoBip over here in the UK. Both of you, a very warm welcome to, it's a show ultimately, isn't it? So a very warm welcome, and great that you could join me. Now, the session title, Through the Looking Glass, what does it take to create an ideal experience today? We're talking customer experiences, and how will it shape the future of business messaging? There's so much ground to cover, but let's start with you, Vice. What, in your opinion, is customer experience? What is it?
Well, first, thanks for having me here. So sorry I couldn't have been there in person. What I think is not going to be something that nobody knows right now, but the customer experience, you know, for me, it's the overall experience a customer has with a certain brand. You know, from navigating the website, using the product or service they bought from you. The interaction they have with your employees, either a sales representative or a customer services agent, but it's also about communication along all of the phases of the customer journey. So, you know, every interaction a customer has with the brands either builds or damages the relationship between them, and customers' view of the aggregate of those interactions makes a customer experience. So it's important because how customer feels about your brand is tied to customer retention to lifetime value and brand loyalty. So to have a great customer experience, it's about making your customers' lives easier. It's effortless for them to accomplish what they set out to accomplish by using your product or service. And it's about being dependable and basically in the end making things easy for your customers.
I think for me, I've looked at loads of research in the area, and one constant is, what do customers the world over, it doesn't matter what age, what we're talking about in terms of purchasing for goods or services, but what do they view as being the most important thing? And it's actually an answer that most people wouldn't really get, or they wouldn't think of. It's their time. It's the most basic thing in the world. And yeah. I think we all know, particularly given the past year and a half and the wonderful travel situation because of COVID and all the travel changes as we're experiencing, and hence we're here right now here in the virtual world exactly because of that. It's this constant changes and impacts and knowing where to get information, and it takes up so much time. If a brand can help cut through that, and by brand, I'm really talking about, it could be a government as well, a non-profit, any type of organization can cut through all of that and save people's times. I think for me personally, that has a huge amount to do with customer experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's about making it easy for them. You know, it's about being there, being available with the information, and you know, not to have too much time going over, you know, where should I find this, or where to get the information. It's being consistently available, and it's easy for clients to get this information.
Natalia, just a basic question to you on this.
Yeah.
I think, again, to me, who's not as expert in the areas as you two are, it seems rather obvious that why don't you ask somebody how they want to be contacted? Because that's going to positively impact customer experience. But from your experience, Natalia, dealing with real enterprises and looking at real use cases and flows and everything, are enough brands actually doing that today? Asking their clients how they want to be contacted?
Or when they want to be contacted.
That's it.
No.
Oh, that's it.
Most of them aren't, and that's exactly the thing. So with customer service, having this option of where you want to be contacted, it really depends on who you are. Some people prefer to call. Some people prefer to send a message. Some people prefer a chat app or another. And it's very important for brands to have all of these options because everyone is different. But it's also very important for companies to have real-time communication with their customers, because if you want something, you don't want to wait 24 hours or a week to get that answer. You kind of want it now. And depending on the communication, so for example, if you are using a fintech and you want money, you want to know if money is on your account, getting an email is great, but getting an SMS or getting something on WhatsApp or something like that that's very instant, it's even better. And we can see that a lot of our customers are, by being able to do that, they have improved customer engagement and CCAT scores and all of that kind of thing, because the customer is a lot happier that way to be able to communicate with the brand faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, well, one thing I noticed with MEF, we do a lot of research, and one of our reports was looking at the whole area of business messaging. It looked at different demographics across ages as well. And one thing that really surprised me was actually, it turns out that older people, and by older people, I'm talking even older than me, so older people genuinely like using chat apps. So they like to be communicated with using chat apps by providers of goods and services. And to an extent, actually, they use them more than younger people. So I think it's really important to get out of our head that when we talk about omnichannel, we've got so many channel options, and the assumption is that, oh, the chat app side of things, you mentioned WhatsApp, there are of course many other well-known chat apps out there, yeah, but all the chat apps, that's really for younger people, and that's it. And email, oh, that's really more for older people, and SMS is something in between. It's not like that at all. So no, so you've got to have a solution that is able to offer all these channels put together. Now, Vitse, this session is kindly sponsored by Infobit, and it's only fair that you can actually pitch and say why your solution is good as well. But why do you believe that your solution for the omnichannel space really is very competitive? What really is an omnichannel solution actually, ultimately, is my question, because there are many providers out there I know that actually have multi-channel solutions, but omni-channel is different. So what is it that Infobit can do that many others can't?
Yeah, well, so the first thing, it's communication is at the core of everything that we do. So I believe all of us are aware of how important this digital communication has been during this pandemic. When we are not able to be close to each other, like even right now, this conversation we are having, and how we are communicating, it shows the power of digital channels of communication. So we are really proud at Infobip of our industry-leading global reach with very strong local presence of more than 700 direct connections to MNOs around the world. But also with the breadth and depth of our communication channels and SaaS solutions, basically, like you mentioned, even chat apps and different communication channels that we have. So basically having the possibility to provide the omnichannel experience is a big foundation that we leverage, and combining this with our professional services teams, applying their experience and expertise and guiding our customers to unlock the potential of digital communication is where I see our competitive advantages. The outcome of such work you can see even in the communication that was built for this conference, for this event, and I would invite everyone to engage one of the channels. So WhatsApp, Apple Messages for Business, Google Business Messages, RCS or SMS, and give it a try.
Exactly. Now, some people, when they see me, they think, oh, here comes Mr. SMS, because I have talked about SMS rather a lot in the past years, but I do know there are other great channels, so I know that. But another thing I'm becoming known for is being called Mr. 99. And that's because I keep mentioning the statistic that 99% of businesses around the world are actually small and medium size. So Natalia, Vice, both of you, one of you, is omni-channel now. So for example, the solution Infobip offers, is it something actually that a small and medium-sized organization that may not have a huge depth of technical knowledge, etc., is it something that smaller companies can actually take advantage of today? Natalia, go for it.
Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah, no, of course. Every company needs to talk to their clients. And it's not just huge organizations that need to offer different channels and to contact their clients through different channels. There is a wide variety of different providers there, but I'll talk about what I know more, which is Infobip. Smaller and medium companies, we offer self-service in which they can put as many chats or as little as many options of channels or as little options of channels that they want in their communication. And this is very important for all sizes, from very large enterprises to startups and very small companies as well. And all of them have seen a really big difference it's very obvious that this offering these various channels makes a very big difference. So for example, we have a retailer that just by offering one more option in a different chat app, they offered live chat, but then they started offering another channel. They got 10% more engagement. And this doesn't really matter on the size of the company. These numbers are very obvious. And having everything into just one platform also makes a big difference, because all of that data is a little bit easier to be seen as well. So how your communication strategy is going is a little bit easier to calculate and to know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. But yeah, any company, any size company can use the services, all of these different options.
Fantastic. So I think that there's a real myth out there that anything which involves so many different channels, oh, it's so complicated, it's so expensive, only big companies can do it and use it, and only they can take advantage of it. It's great that we have shattered that myth, and actually that great providers like Infobip are out there making such connectivity easier for smaller and medium-sized organizations as well. So no, thank you very much for that. Now, Vice, obviously you work in the professional services area. Your title gives it away, professional services manager. So how do your services differentiate any software, any SaaS company, basically? So what are the services you offer at Infobip that can really make you different from others?
Yeah, so with today's market and the level of innovation happening everywhere in the world, it's getting tougher and tougher to cover all of the fields you're getting in contact with on everyday basis. So for a regular person working in their role, whatever the role is, a lot of things are happening out there. The tools you use, even though some of them are similar in a way, they're all unique. They were all created with a certain focus in mind, and they have their best practices, their features, the setup that makes them most efficient to use them. And since all of us have our points of interest, our work that we focus on, it would take time to figure out a new tool and how to use it in best possible ways. And this is where professional services and professional services teams can be a clear differentiation in the marketplace. In our case, and because of the flexibility that we have in our CPaaS and SaaS products, we are able to creatively combine all of them individually, but into solutions that can address complex customer requirements. And I would say that professional services teams are like the unsung heroes in delivering and unlocking great value for customers. If we would say that sales teams position and sell a promise, professional services teams follow through and deliver on that promise.
Okay, that's very, very clear. So you've got everyone has a very valuable role to play in this, and particularly when we come to omnichannel. Now, Natalia, omnichannel communications, I can think of practically unlimited use cases for omnichannel in a business of any size and shape today. But what areas within a company do you think lend themselves particularly well to the powers of omnichannel?
I'll be honest with you, omnichannel communication should be a part of the overall communication strategy for a company. And by overall, I literally mean overall. So this can be from marketing, because they need to test out which channels make more sense to send out promotional messages, for example. But this can also be for customer service, because as we've said multiple times now already, you need to be able to offer different ways of contacting your company. But it can also be logistics. They need to be able to send out information on, for example, for retailer delivery. But it can also be, for example, if you're a travel company, to be able to send out, if your flight's delayed, to be able to send out either a push message or an SMS if the person doesn't have the app straight away, so that that client knows that their plane is delayed or gate changed. This can also be, so for example, for a hospital, having different ways of contacting your customer, either to remind them that the appointment happened, but also if it needs to be something more permanent, like for example, what happened during the consultation, they can get an email just with an overall follow-up of what happening. So this should be a part of the overall communication strategy of whichever industry and whichever company they are.
So if I was, again, I apologize, I go back to Mr. 99. If I was an organization of a smaller size and starting out, you mentioned clearly there's some great applications for your solution, and indeed any good omnichannel solution across an organization, any part of it, any touch point. Where do you see businesses starting off using omnichannel? So for example, let's say they were just using email and SMS today, but they start adding a chat app such as WhatsApp Business into the mix. In which area does that tend to start coming first? Is it more the sales side, or is it support which is really driving it?
It really depends on where the company sees that friction between the client and the company. And this can be analyzed just by having a look at where your customers complain the most. I think support is rather a big area. And I have to admit, personally, I'm sure we've all had it on this call, and indeed everyone watching this has experienced far more in the past 18 months with big brands using the C word as something to hide behind, to say, oh, you've got to wait longer, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But I don't think in reality, with solutions around today, there's no reason for that really. But there we are. And the best part is, it's very important just to keep your customer informed, even if it is going to take a little bit longer. Let them know. If they know, then they know what to expect, and that's exactly it. It's setting expectations. If you set the expectations, the customer is more likely to be okay with a delay.
And I think if you've got the right technology, which clearly providers such as yourselves at Infobit have, anything which can help time. So we've all had the situation where you've logged into a system, you've in a chat session, something like that with a company, but then you get through to a live agent, because ultimately you need that to resolve. But then they ask you, what's your account number? What's your date of birth? It's like, You've got all of this already. Why are you asking me again?
Why are you
And
asking me 10 different
this is where
departments?
the technology comes in, Vita. So let's just talk about that, the actual integration and how you go about integrating the solution with an enterprise today to avoid situations like that.
Yeah, so it's like Natalia said. It's first of all, listening to the client and asking a few questions. It's first, where is your focus, or what are you trying to achieve? And after that, but also what we've been mentioning before, it's about, on the other side, clients and customers and their communication being easy, being consistent, and having this, what you mentioned right now, like, context, history, what happened earlier. I also had a chat. So when applying all of this to different communication channels and, going from one channel to the other, we need to use it's about more than just using, omni-channel experiences. It's about combining them in one solution that would, benefit the customer overall. So basically switching from one communication channel to the other, you keep the conversation context, the history, what happened, and you provide in an easy manner, to your end users the information that they really need. So the integration part, and then it's where I see basically SaaS helping out with the CPaaS. So basically connecting all of the channels in an intuitive, easy way. So that's where I see that we should put focus on building in the future. Having stable, good, reliable channels, but then combining them in a way that provides a bigger value for customers.
Fantastic. Now, Natalia, I'm a fan of real examples using real life brands in the real world. And here's some you made earlier. So let's have a look, because you've got a presentation showing us some real life success stories of omnichannel with Infobip. So take it away and just take us through a couple of real life examples, and then we'll come back and close off our discussion. But here's some customer stories. Take us through them.
So just a few examples. So the first one is UNICEF. They already had an omnichannel. They already had a multi-channel strategy. So they offered their customers the choice. So their donors, not their customers, their donors, the choice of contacting them through SMS, email, WhatsApp, or through phone calls. The problem there was that they didn't really have a way of quantifying the metrics. They didn't have a clear picture of how their communication strategy was going. They didn't really have a central way to include all the data that was being gathered through this customer service or through other places. They saw that their CRM wasn't enough. And at the same time, they didn't have a clear picture of what was going on. So the way that they saw was moving all of these channels into just one platform, then using our customer service solutions, so both a chatbot and a contact center, also linked with customer engagement hub that would allow for automatic messages to come through at different parts of the customer journey. And everything would be fed through a customer data platform, which allows for all of the data also gathered through the channels in just one place. So with this, they saw a big change on their communication efforts. So they saw an 8% increase in donor retention because they were able to contact the customer in an easier way because all of these channels were under just one platform. They saw 33% decrease in churn and 4% conversion rate on cart abandonment flow, which are those instant messages. And the quote here is a great example of how professional services can help. Kind of what Vitya was saying, setting up this can sometimes be a bit complicated. So they said that with Infobip, agile service and support are guaranteed. Throughout the implementation process, they were very proactive and always available. And this is very important for any provider to offer their customers this. With both, another big example, They already had different channels, but they wanted to also set up WhatsApp because it is one of the biggest chat apps, especially in the regions that they cover. So different areas of the world, different chat apps, but in this case it was WhatsApp. And they wanted to increase conversion rate through the driver registration journey. So this meant that when the driver would try to start registering to become a driver for Bolt, they saw that in a very specific area, so when the driver had to upload their documents, they would drop out. So they set up a whole communication strategy so that the drivers would go through a chat bot. And then if they had any questions, they could go to an agent and ask. But then if they dropped off at any moment, they would get a notification straight away telling them to go back and finish the registration process. And with that, they saw a boost in conversion rates by 40%, a higher handling of query volumes, which meant that because more people were registering, there were more queries, more questions being raised, but everything was being answered in real time. And it says their life cycle marketing manager says these technologies mean that we can deliver better experiences to drivers and optimize internal processes, which is another huge thing. Internal processes need to be optimized as well. So,
Perfect.
And then yes.
No, I'm saying perfect. So you haven't as yet actually mentioned the name of your solution, and we saw it. Answers conversations and moments.
So yes,
does what the product says on the tin. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the end, also it's not the product, it's the solution that the customer wants.
Exactly.
And this is what we want to deliver to them. And this is just another example. Croatia Osigranj, they were, and I'm sorry if I said their name wrong, but they wanted to digitalize their customer service. They offered either calls or emails, which meant that oftentimes getting back to the customer took a very long time. So the way that they decided to go around that was offering different chat apps. So the customer could actually choose how they wanted to be contacted. And they did that through Viber, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. And this is another example how this can really improve the customer experience. 50% of users started leaving positive comments, and that's huge. So that was a very big change for them as well. So all of these are just examples of how having this omnichannel communication in just one platform can really help out the brand.
Perfect. I think that's very, very clear. So throughout this session, what have we seen? So we've seen that omnichannel communications is definitely for all, irrespective of the size of the business. We've seen that implementing it doesn't need to be scary, because a lot of that has got to do with a professional services team, and Infobip clearly have that. And Vita, it's been a pleasure speaking to you about all of that and that angle. That's clearly important to have that, and that's a big differentiator. And at the end of the day, really, it comes to asking the customers what channels are they most comfortable with, what channels would they like to be communicated with. And really, it's about saving customers time and frustration. And all they want to know is that someone's there to answer my request, and my request is answered in a rapid manner using a channel that I'm comfortable with. So it all sounds so simple, I know, but the reality is it's super, super hard. I know that. To make it easy for everyone to take advantage is actually really, really hard. Now, we're coming to the end of our session right now, but Vita, a quick last question, just a few second answer from you, please. What are the top 2 or 3 things for you if an enterprise or brand is looking to truly become a customer-centric organization? What are the top couple of things they need to do and be mindful of?
So it's, for me, it's a mindset and a core value within a company. It's about cherishing culture of empathy towards customer, your willingness to listen to their needs, and linking actually your success to their success. So basically, I would give two advices, or I have 2 aspects of looking at it. that I believe is at the core of achieving customer centricity. First, in order to successfully implement a customer-centric strategy, a company must have a culture that aligns with them. So basically, leaders who deliberately cultivate the necessary mindset and values in the employees, in their employees. And the second advice I would give is to listen and then to act on what your customers are telling you. This is where you will get important information on where to drive your products, to how to upgrade your services, to stay on top of evolving customer needs and expectations.
Fantastic. Vice, thank you very much. Natalia, thank you very much. And we hand back to the studio for the next part of this session. But thank you both very much for your time, and all the best. Bye.
Thank you, James.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.